Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Kaiserreich. We're Kaiserly Reiching it up as the Socialist Republic of Italy. Look at us. We're the syndicalists. Orthodoxy, it's been broken. We'll just have to see what happens next. Wow, what a surprise. There's a treaty between Afghanistan and the Dominion of India. We don't have enough absences there, so we'll just... The Austrian Empire withdraws from Italy. It's clear that Black Monday has hit the Austrian Empire hard. The Austro-Hungarian Reichskrieg minister today announced he was recalling divisions stationed in Italian territory, unable to afford the financial burden of keeping them safe from the Socialist Republic of Italy. For good or ill, the Italian Republic is now effectively independent of Austrian domination. At least until the Austrians regain their full strength, and decide whether or not their interests in the Italian peninsula are worth regaining. Many in the Italian Republic have expressed worry whether or not this will leave them exposed to attack by us, the Socialist Republic of Italy, a movement which plunged Italy into civil war once again. An opportunity, perhaps? Those people are right to be afraid. We need 40% world tension, though. And also, 250,000 manpower, which we are not there yet. We're getting there, but we're not there. The illusion of Qing hegemony shatters. The facade of Chinese unity, having held together for nearly a decade, has begun to crumble. Rising unrest in the League of Eight Provinces, the economic shock of Black Monday portending German retrenchment, and the inability of the national government, capitalized, to deliver a decisive response to either, has made one thing clear: Beijing's monopoly on power is broken, and now the future is any man's game. The end of an era. Yeah, more world tension. It's only at 3% for some reason. Alright. Mingan insurgency. It's time to send volunteers and reduce the game speed. Welcome to the party, ladies and gentlemen. Can we send volunteers? We can send volunteers. Alright, our only tank division. To you I send, to them I send my only son. Tank division. Speaking of sending our only son, can I, like, duplicate this, call this tanks? And then, like, make this, all motorized infantry? And then, that's it? That's all I can do? Yeah, this is a better. Its organization is worse. Its speed is equally bad. Is this actually, like, not better? Whoa, yeah, it is. Look at that breakthrough bonus. Look at that breakthrough. Though I actually don't know how much... I might want to hold off on that for at least now. I mean, at least for now. Call this infantry. We'll add support artillery. Do I really want anything other than that? I'll save that for now. We can go over to infantry. Yeah, I mean, that doesn't really materially change the situation that much. What are these guys? Cavalry. These probably be tanks, right? I assume I don't have any... Yeah. If I make you cars... Yeah, I don't have enough trucks. Anywho. I might want to just make them a motorized division. Sorry, let me power that up. The Mingan insurgency continues to win Gan insurgency. I would love to win in China because I'm never getting there. So it doesn't really matter. Anqing Click was annexed. Yep. Whoa! The Krivik push! With Germany's economy shaken by a severe economic crisis, the repercussions were quickly felt in the European hegemon's eastern satellites. White Ruthenia, a small and young nation, was soon rocked by instability. After growing agitation from radical leftist elements of the country, the army intervened and deposed the elected Social Democratic government. After a brief power struggle, the vacuum was filled by none other than Vaclav Latuski, leader of the National Populist Peasants' Party Green Oak. Historian and writer Latuski was heavily involved in White Ruthenia's struggle for independence from Russia. Deeply Russophobic, he hopes to purge the country completely of its Russian influence and reshape White Ruthenian national identity around the medieval Krivich tribe. With a resurgent Russia, a war of survival now seems and appears inevitable, more proof that reformism is doomed to fail. No, pause, no.
Pronto all'azione.
Pronto! Alright, let's do Giovanni Duca. It's the Duca. Uh-oh! Oswald Mosley elected chairman of the TUC in 1936. The 1936 Trade Union Congress in the Union of Britain was made out to be decisive. Chairman Tom Mann declared his resignation, causing the three major factions of the Union, Maximists, Autonomists, and Federationists, to butt heads over the position. And as the dust settled, Oswald Mosley, the current deputy chairman and leader of the Maximist movement, has been appointed as the new chairman. Mosley's faction supports a strong central government and the full state control of the economy, and are much more in favor of military action and British nationalism than any other faction. Interesting. The death of Pius the 11th? I don't remember. The death of a guy named Pius. Pope Pius! I think that's 11th. Pope Pius the 11th, who died following a heart attack, had been in declining health for the past several years, something which rapidly worsened following Black Monday. The Holy Father will soon be interred with the rest of his predecessors in the tomb of the popes. Until the next pope can be chosen, the papal state will be ruled by a college of cardinals in Rome. The succession of His Holiness is made all the more important due to the Catholic Church's role in governing the reborn papal states, as well as its vehement opposition to syndicalism, a force which has divided Italy, and once again seeks to unify the Italian peninsula. How terrible. Anyways, so let's proceed. Haha. Whoop. We don't want another election. The 1936 elections, excuse me. With the 1920 Constitution creating a unicameral parliament formed of candidates elected from both unions and popular vote, the Parliament of Socialist Republic was always something of a mess. However, it has never been as messy as it is from today. It appears the unions have lost even more ground than expected. They've bled much support both to the heavily parliamentarianist actionists and the fascists, and have outright lost their absolute majority for the first time in the history of the Socialist Republic. In the new climate, President Giulietti tried to return to his role as the constitutional head of state, and then tried to have a parliamentary government formed. However, with the unions blaming him for the poor result, and the actionists refusing to work under the president who broke constitutional norms to appoint a nationalist government, negotiations soon stalled. While there may be a path to work in government, there certainly is no path forward for Giulietti. Negotiations must start rapidly. We don't want another election. Do we not? Do we not want another election? I don't... Pius the 12th elected as new pope. Catholic faithful in Rome breathed a sigh of relief as the Sistine Chapel's chimney billowed forth white smoke, signifying the election of a new pope. A short time later, it was announced that his pious and popular Eugenio Cardinal Pacelli has become His Holiness Pope Pius the 12th, yes, so it was the 11th, leader of the Catholic Church and head of the state of the Papal States. It's anticipated will continue the policies of predecessor whose pontifical name he has taken, a useless man elected by useless men. Wow, got him. Take that, Pope. How many divisions did he got? I completely forgot about the existence of this division, but it doesn't matter. The 9th International Congress. Socialist delegates from around the world are gathered in Paris for the latest congress of their movement. The 3rd... I just realized I don't have any fuel. No wonder this guy's moving at the speed of slow. The 3rd International was created by French socialists after the... So we're just gonna, like... Stop doing that. And we're gonna stop doing that. Stand by. I'm gonna probably stop training my planing. Oh, looks like we're already doing that. Anyway, okay. Third International was created by French socialists out in the 1920 Revolution, and has since helped steer the efforts of the labor movement, dominated by syndicalists. The International, however, intends to be a broad tent organization, and thus welcomes Reds of all stripes. Delegates were greeted by a military parade and a rousing speech in Versailles, clad in red for the occasion. At the top of the agenda is a spread of revolutionary fervor, particularly to Asia and North America, conflict in Spain, policy and colonialism, requirements for membership in the International's military alliance, an interesting development. A Bhutan. Oh, it's not a Marx portrait, but whatever. Ideological loyalty, because how much monthly manpower do we get? Reading is power. Monthly growth in states. 251. That's not great. Create ENEL. Okay, what is... Oh, this is still training. I'm like, no wonder we're draining all our fuel. Okay. Building a new government. Julieta's social nationalist experiment has clearly failed, causing parliamentary gridlock in the wake of new elections. We must, however, not show weakness. A new governing solution must be found. Is there anything else we need to do? No. I mean, this would be useful, but no. Anyways. We have no fuel. No fuel at all. Okay. Several things have happened. Turin to host the 19... Right, what is draining fuel? The Air Force. Where? Oh. Yeah. Reading is power. Turin to host the 1937 Workers' Olympiad. The Socialist Workers Sport International have asked us for assistance in the planning of the 1937 edition of the International Workers' Olympiad. The games are to take place in Turin. Attendance numbers are expected to soar this time around, and we would do better to ensure the city of Turin can handle an event of this size. To the work that we must do. Okay, we get an infrastructure. Go us. Death of Filippo Turati. Today, the great statesman Filippo Turati passed away at the age of 79 years old. Filippo Turati was one of the last surviving founders of the Italian Socialist Party. His strong support of the rights of the workers of Italy from his earliest days made him famous throughout the Republic. In addition to the founding of the Socialist Republic of Italy, he was also one of the principal architects of the Constitution of the Socialist Republic of Italy. The funeral, so this mess is his fault. The funeral in Torino was attended by visitors from around the world and officials from across the political spectrum, all paying their respects to the late great leader, as various songs were sung, including Inno de Lavatori, which he penned himself. The passing of a torch. The Third International. France has gone through with its designs to host the Ninth Congress of the Third International, and we, as expected, have received an invitation to be foolish not to send a delegation. Better start packing. Alright, we got fuel now. Yay.
Attento.
Okay, never mind. Oh, we're getting owned.
Mantenete le distanze.
Look how owned we are. We should probably fall back to Lishui. All of the delegates have arrived. After months of feverish preparation, the Ninth Congress of the Third International has opened in Versailles. People from all over the world convened to help coordinate the efforts of the socialist movement. Parties affiliated with the International, as well as some sympathizers and observers, were invited to send representatives, and hundreds made the sometimes arduous journey to be the closest to the beating heart of the proletarian revolution. Though the International, in theory, has no relation to the British and French government, representatives of these foremost socialist nations will certainly enjoy a position of informal seniority among their peers, elders, in the global liberation of the laboring class. A warm welcome, class. Warm welcome to our comrades.
Formazione.
Inaugurating the Congress. Stand by. Get out of here. The inaugural session of the Ninth Congress of the Third International took place in Versailles Palace. Clad for the occasion with crimson banners adorned with socialist symbols and slogans. It's extremely funny they're holding it frickin' Versailles. Given the honor of pronouncing the introductory speech, father of the British Revolution, George Lansbury pointed out the irony, of convening proletarian revolutions in what was once the center of autocratic monarchy. Proof, if any, was needed of the unstoppable march forward of the revolution. A grand speech followed, thanking the delegates, evoking revolutionary struggle of the recent years, and rousing spirits for coming struggle. In his closing remarks, Lansbury invited the delegates to join him in a minute of prayer, to which The French voice promptly responded, "Like hell we will," leading to a few moments of agitation in the audience. The old man was nonetheless abundantly applauded. That's really funny. I like that particular story because, like, British socialists have a tendency to be Christian socialists, and French socialists have a tendency to not be that. Anyways, the old man was nonetheless abundantly applauded, and representatives separated in various discussion groups of committee. The Ninth Congress and the Third International is hereby opened. Okay.
Pronto all'azione.
I appear to be getting my butt kicked. This situation is less than ideal. Can I do that? Can I do that? How many trucks do I have? Alright. Syndicalism in Spain. Joaquin. Okay, I didn't pause. Let's do that. Stand by. Joaquin Acaso Burrida is taking the stage and elaborating the position of the CTN-FAI in Spain for the Congress. The CTN-FAI is the largest syndicalist party in Spain, made up of anarcho-syndicalists, moderate syndicalists, and trade unionists. The Spanish revolutionaries have seen a white terror, violent counter-revolutionary actions against the workers firsthand. They have come, asking for support for their cause when the moment comes. A resolution to support the efforts of the Spanish proletarian forces was unanimously voted, with cries of "Viva la Revolucion!" echoing the halls of Versailles. Our Albion comrades can count on us. In the heart of capital, too. American delegate John Reed gave a passionate speech. A journalist by trade, one of the first Americans to report on the Russian and French revolutions, he later entered the political fray himself. Now a well-respected voice within the movement, Reed is the current chairman of the Socialist Party of America, despite criticism at home and abroad regarding his party's coalition with the reformist Farmer Labor Party. It's hard to argue against the SPA's growing popularity over the past decade and its ability to mobilize American workers. Fellow delegates refrained from voicing their concerns, if they had any, and Reed was given a warm welcome by the Congress. Besides, American politics are not European politics. All politics are local, first of all. In his speech, he detailed the current situation in the United States. The Great Depression, now dragging on for years, has thrown American workers and farmers into atrocious conditions, leading to a rapid rise in radical politics, made worse by the German crash. The labor movement grows ever more powerful. The SPA is rapidly gaining ground in political situation, and proletarian forces are holding strong against police repression and longest reactionaries. An opportunity seems bound to reveal itself. The red flag will fly on Wall Street, I guess. I'm gonna attack this position. I've been sitting around doing nothing for long enough. Alright, hopes in Latin America. A joint event by Latin American comrades was next. Central and South America have, in recent years, been at the forefront of the socialist struggle. Primary victims of American interests, exploited ceaselessly by international capital, held down by petty dictators of puppet this or that Yankee lobby. The masses of the Americas have had enough. Every day, more workers join the struggle of this front line against imperialism. If we believe our comrades, the entire continent is one push away from liberation. A packed audience listened eagerly to heroic tales of the Patagonian revolutionaries, latest updates from the still fresh Nicaraguan Revolution, or stories from the veterans of the Mexican Revolution, which inspired the whole of Latin America. Delegates from other nations, like Brazil or Cuba, gave detailed presentations on the state of the proletarian struggle in their own countries, with many feeling very much optimistic for their prospects in the coming years, begin to nurture syndicalism in Latin America. There we go. Kurt von Schleicher, appointed Reich Chancellor. Elections have been held in the German Empire after 2 years of failed governments and a stock market crash, which resulted in worldwide economic collapse. The empowered permanent opposition parties, the SDP and DVLP, gained a large enough share of the vote that another moderate liberal Catholic cabinet is no longer possible. In light of the difficult situation, Kurt von Schleicher has been appointed as a unifying figure. Schleicher is the general of the Heer and Prussian Minister of War, who also accumulated impressive influence in the past few years. Pragmatic to the core, he expresses his wish to do away with all parties in the Reichstag to combat the crisis, but does not shy away from his true goal: a stronger, more centralized and militarized empire. Another Junker serving the Kaiser. Ah, Kurt. You really screwed up OTL, and chances are you'll screw up here too. Women's role in the worldwide revolution. Today, the British feminist Helen Crawford took the stage with a flaming speech about the women's role in the world revolution. According to her arguments, without women's participation in industry and the armed forces, it may be impossible to defeat the many enemies of the proletariat. While our delegation wholeheartedly agrees with her message, some fear that it's yet too early to really push the issue of women's liberation, and formally affirming the speech is but a needless domestic disturbance. Do I want political power? Or do I want to lose stability? I don't know. Participation of the working women is necessary to achieve the world revolution. Why not? Who needs stability? It's for losers. Okay. Hey! Support for the Risorgimento. Today is an opportunity for our representatives of the Congress, the Third International, put their case forward to request international support for our reunification efforts. The foreign minister believes French support for Risorgimento could be vital for its success due to the potential of Austrian involvement. Asks for support to achieve the Risorgimento. Socialist revolution in Iran. With the news reaching Tehran of the Shah's death a few days ago, the people of Persia took to the streets to demand the abolition of the monarchy. As of last night, it appears the socialist protesters have successfully taken control and pushed the Qajar dynasty out of the country. The first socialist state in the Middle East, did not capitalize for some reason, has been declared. Persia, or Iran as it is now called, has been a place of instability and troubles ever since the end of the Anglo-Russian occupation of the nation, which I think happened post-World War I. With the Middle East growing increasingly unstable, many wonder how the new socialist government will respond to possible threats or challenges in the region. Workers of Iran, break your chains! How much do we need? 35? Okay. Hoi. Comrade Saïl Mohammed wants to speak. Comrade Saïl Mohammed, a prominent Algerian socialist, was allowed to speak before the assembled Congress. He's given a rousing speech on the situation in Morocco and French Africa, where Arab labor is abused and exploited for the benefit of the wealthy and the colonial establishment. Saïl encouraged the Congress to put an immediate stop to the situation and propose the creation of a socialist anti-colonial committee that will work to suppress local socialist anti-colonial conspirators in North Africa. Will gladly support the creation of a committee. Are we wasting... I don't think so. Anyways. Okay. So, the Kuomintang asks for aid. Since the National Revolutionary Army collapsed at the hands of the imperialist-backed Zili clique, we have certainly looked at the possibility of revolution in China with interest. China, while indeed not a capitalistic nation nor an industrial one, holds the potential for anti-imperialist and socialist revolution, as evident by the role of Chinese mass movement in the Northern Expedition. While Chinese socialists in the Kuomintang attempted to stage a bold but failed uprising in 1932, it appeared that they collapsed the capitalistic world order after Black Monday. The Chinese Kuomintang and the NRA have risen much more to break their chains. We've received an urgent communique from our Chinese connections to Chairman Wang Jingwei and Ambassador Eugene Chen for our nation to send over military arms and advisors to help the Kuomintang in their renewed revolutionary struggle. We can certainly support them, although given the distance of the conflict and our limited resources, we neither send them purely advisors or both advisors and rifles. Alternatively, some in our government have argued that instead we should only send them our thoughts and prayers. Good writing there. We could send them advisors and guns. Or not. Let's send them advisors and guns. The new compromise. In the end, in spite of his mandate lasting to 1938, Giuliani resigned from the presidency. We're going to stop this attack. That's not productive. Resigned from the presidency. This did much to restart negotiations. Mussolini put himself forward as a man who was simply fulfilling his patriotic duty by leaving the president's cabinet in 1934. While it built no sympathy from the parliamentarianist actionists, it did enough to make the Union support his bid for the presidency, especially when he promised to appoint the Union-aligned Angelo Tosca as the prime minister if elected, and elected he was, with the first act as president being, of course, the appointment of a new Tosca government. This doesn't mean stability is returned, far from it. The Union's infatuation with Mussolini as a man of the hour rapidly vanished when it became clear that Mussolini was being even more aggressive in his reinforcement of the presidency. There now appears to be something of a tug-of-war between Mussolini and Union leadership. Seeking to break each other's hold of power. In the middle are the actionists, hoping to slide between the two giants and restore parliamentary powers to the two giants of Italian politics and mutilate each other. A facade of unity will be maintained where the revolution is yet to be fulfilled, but once the peninsula has been brought to revolution, the smoke will clear, and someone will emerge from the ashes to build a new Italy. The future of Italy is built from here. Oh boy. Mechanics. So we are looking at what appears to be a balance of power situation. Okay. New syndicalist government. As the political equilibrium changes, it appears the unions have emerged the only force capable of forming government. In spite of constant fascist interference, with other forces failing to deliver, Mussolini was forced to appoint Tosca as prime minister, much to his chagrin. For now, a strong union government is in power. The fascists will undoubtedly fight tooth and nail to gain control of the government, so the fight isn't over yet. Good luck, Tosca. Okay. that a balance of power? It is! Hooray! So we have the trade unions in power versus the empowered presidency. So, you know. How exciting. It's him! The evil bald guy. Let's see. It's probably in our best interest to deal with the FMC. Yeah, I think that's probably smart. Deal with the FMC. The clandestine military front has been a thorn in our side for far too long. With stable government finally in place, we can now see to at least contain and reduce their operations. Boop. Technology. Mechanical computing. Beep boop. Activate the computer. Can I press a button? I can press this button. Anyways. I don't need to, though. We really want ideological loyalty. Okay. How is the situation in China? It could be better, honestly. It's not great. White Terror! We have heard Joaquin Acasco Barrida speak of White Terror horror stories that have been coming out of Madrid and Barcelona. And Kurt Eisner, Bavarian socialist, went to delve deeper in the topic of White Terror and was given the floor. After hearing more stories that have come out of Germany, Austria, Hungary, Russia, and Finland, the Congress members were ready to make their decisions. Another reason we must end the capitalist system of murder and robbery. Wow. I can select a Grand Doctrine. It's super cheap now for some reason. I don't know why. But, oh, right. Maybe it was always cheap. Anyways, we should modify the officer corps. First, I would like weekly manpower. Thank you very much. Hey. Abuse presidential power. Launch protest strikes. Oh, well. Oh, my God. The World Economic Crisis and the Third Internationale. With the Berlin stock market crash, mass unemployment's arisen in Europe and South America, and trade unions have begun to grow, both as a result. French and British governments held highly secretive talks. And slowly but surely one realization came to all. Now might be the hour. Now might be the moment. A tremendous effort must be undertaken. However, exactly this tremendous effort would be proved controversial, and when Congress finally reassembled for a voting session, debates lasted well into the night, with positions ranging from issuing a mere condemnation to calls for immediate armed struggle. Ultimately, it was decided that a framework for deeper international cooperation would soon be established under the auspices of the Third Internationale and the Socialist Great Powers. Help towards the development of socialist economies, greater economic integration, research and development programs, as well as permanent international cooperation councils would help the world's free nations act as one to prepare for the final struggle. Simultaneously, initiatives to more concretely support socialist efforts in capitalist nations would be undertaken, both openly and covertly. Naturally, details would still be left for governments to fill in, but the proposal was approved almost unanimously. Only one thing was left to vote on: the name of this initiative. A French delegate proposed the Phalanstrie, a homage to the harmonious and self-sustaining communities established by the utopian socialist Charles Fourier. A proposal which proved instantly popular. By building this international Phalanstrie, the workers of the world will soon conquer the utopia they've earned. A decisive opportunity. I suppose it is. Alright. With stalemate in China and a plan for unity going forward, I will leave you for the next episode. Bye-bye.